Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning into episode 615 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube. As always, whether you're watching the live or you're watching the recording, you are very, very welcome. We have some comments already. Yvette says, gee, this house is everywhere all of a sudden. You're not wrong, which is why I thought it was time to finally present the Discovery set to you. Ganymede says, quick question, can someone remind me what brand of blotters Mr. P is using? They're from a company based in the south of France called Sentis, and they do blotters as well now, just like for individuals. I think they have quite a substantial minimum order quantity, but not like, in the thousands of millions. And I think they do ship all over the world. If we live in the UK, we have to pay extra special tax for ordering from them as well. If you live in the EU, you will not have to pay tax. But Sentis, Sentis, superb blotters. Offenlich says, very much Marlboro-esque packaging here. Second cigarette-inspired stuff after that Balenciaga sample set. Yes, absolutely. Alex is here as well, saying, here comes the glitter ball. I know, it's like doing that. The glitter ball is up there somewhere. And yeah, it is episode 615. Okay, so this is the third and final of the live videos that we're planning for today. If you stuck around for all three of them, thank you very much. But if you're watching the recording, then feel free to leave a comment, ask a question. This is not going to be a complete showcase because I don't want to do all seven, quite frankly. This is a brand that launched in 2024. And yes, their profile has been growing steadily. They launched with 7 perfumes. I think last year they launched 2 more. I'm not familiar with those, so this is the debut 7 that launched in 2024. I guess what's interesting about them is that they are a British brand, a UK-based brand, although their perfumers, I think, come from a few different houses. And you all know me well enough to know that the kind of shtick where the Discovery set looks like it's a packet of cigarettes, where the single vial samples come in a kind of square foil wrapper that looks like something else. The names of some of them, I mean, there's one that's called Baise Moi on the dance floor. There's one called All Night Until First Light, and then there's one called Heathens, Cowboys, and the Santa Ana Winds, which I think I would just refuse to wear so that I don't actually have to tell anybody what it is that I'm wearing if I were ever asked, what are you wearing? So that whole kind of the 70s were so ultra cool it hurts shtick does bug me to some extent, and I think, I would be lying. You would be able to see through me, and you would know that I'm lying if I didn't tell you that it bugs me. Every decade, I suppose, has got something cool about it, but I think there's a way of doing certain things that could be ironic, could be quite knowing, and I don't know whether this is quite ironic and knowing enough for me. But at a certain point, I also think to myself, okay, just smell the perfumes, put the shtick to one side. In the grand scheme of, Alex is doing her best Maggie Smith expression. I can see it now, absolutely. In the grand scheme of things, I think these are not horrifically expensive. Each one is meant to be inspired by a specific location around the world in a specific year. So there's a Tokyo one, there's an LA one, there's an Ibiza one, there's a Paris one, etc., etc. And that's okay as far as it goes. But sometimes, when things start getting to the point where you think that they've actually spent more time on mapping out all of that stuff rather than on the perfumes themselves, then you start worrying. Now, why do I not want to do all of them? Because I think a few of them are just outright boring, and I think what we'll do is we'll just stick to 3. The 3 that are fairly interesting. The ones that I'm not going to bother with, and I have got pre-sprayed blotters of those. So there's the one which is the Heathens, Cowboys. Where is it again? Heathens, Cowboys, and the Santa Ana Winds. That's credited to somebody called Nathalie Rouquet. That was actually one of the ones that I was wondering about smelling with you, because I thought, shall I do 3 or shall I do 4? But then I thought, no, there isn't a huge amount to say about it. So the Heathens one, if there is anything interesting about it, it comes out in the opening, and it's a kind of green, spicy feel. Quite sharp, quite bracing. Maybe that's the Santa Ana winds. I don't know. Maybe she had a lot of beans for supper. But the cardamom greenness is interesting. But it then just becomes very, very kind of linear, predictable, monodimensional cedar, and a not particularly interesting smelling cedar as well. What am I getting at the moment? Cedar and pepper, and a fairly basic, maybe patchouli, dry down. So, not particularly inspiring at all. Then another one that I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on is called Lola at Coat Check. I think that was New York. That's credited to Jean-Charles Mignon. And this is a kind of sticky, gourmand white flower concoction. The opening is big, hit you over the head jasmine iris with a strong caramel note. And it's still pretty sweet. So I guess what Lola at Coat Check does is that while everybody's going into Studio 54 or wherever it happens to be, having a good time, she just sits there having Werther's Originals. And I'm guessing that probably Werther's Originals weren't around in the 70s. I don't know, maybe they were, but, we're allowed to do anachronisms in perfumery. And yeah, it's just a really, really sickly, sweet, sticky gourmand. Rachel says there are perhaps capital investment vehicles, not art or love of the game. Oh, who knows? Another one is the Baise on the dance floor, which to me, that one's credited to Julie Pluchet. It's like the opening, certainly more so, it takes you back to a kind of 1980s dihydromercenol violet leaf atmosphere. So think of Dracar Noir, think of Fahrenheit, Duos Fahrenheit, but stripped of all of the interesting bits of it. Plus, I guess the sort of 21st century thing of it is quite a strident and not particularly pleasant synthetic sandalwood. So I've just written in my book cheap, because it smells it. And then probably best thing for. And then the last one was Call for a Good Time. And apparently that's meant to be Tokyo. Call for a Good Time. Credited to Jean-Charles Mignon. And oh yeah, this is the really, really crass, cheap, shrill jasmine. You know, when you sort of smell a mainstreamy sort of perfume and it tells you that it's a jasmine and you think, ooh, that's kind of like an insult to a lot of white florals out there. It's the most kind of nail varnishy, paint strippery aspects of jasmine put into a bottle. Again, really, really quite unconvincing, quite poorly done. So that leaves us with 3. And the 3 are, let's do them in the order in which they're in my book, otherwise I might get confused. All Night Until First Light from Julie Pluchet. So let's see if I can find that sample. They've also made life really, really, really difficult for people whose eyesight is failing, because the names are so... oh, here we go. So All Night Till First Light. Where's the pre-sprayed? Lot of one. And why have I picked this one out? Purely because it's essentially a kind of citrus scent, the citrus in question being grapefruit. And it is a convincing grapefruit note, nicely done grapefruit note. So what that means is that rather than being, for example, sweet, like mandarin, rather than being softer, like lime, it has those kind of pine-like elements of some citrus notes, but it also starts becoming a bit sulfurous, which I guess is what sets grapefruit apart from lemon, lime, mandarin, etc. And it's a well done grapefruit note, actually a nicely done grapefruit note. And what is a little bit different about it is that as the scent moves on, the grapefruit actually makes way for a saffron note, which is kind of unexpected. And it's quite welcome that it's unexpected, because I thought, oh, I can't remember the last time I smelled a grapefruit saffron perfume. I will tell you what they say about it. So this is All Night Until First Light. They say, one euphoric moment, a blazing streak of grapefruit pink, a brazen saffron sky, sun-drenched cheeks, a salty breeze, an electric aurora borealis, a dream you won't remember, an eternal sunrise in Ibiza, the bliss of amnesia. Okay, so I suppose it's meant to be the coming out of the club. And yes, it has got, thanks to the grapefruit as well, I suppose it's got a kind of slightly ozonic feel to it. But for a citrus composition, it's actually well done. I was pleasantly surprised. And as I say, the saffron note, so this is pre-sprayed. Let's see what the saffron note is doing now. Yeah. So the citrus has faded away. The saffron note is maybe edging a little bit towards dubious sandalwoods, but it is still there. And I guess where it connects with the grapefruit is through dryness, because saffron is a really kind of bone dry note, and that was quite surprising. That was quite welcome. The one we should smell is Sweat, Tears and Paradise, credited to Christian Provenzano. And again, in the same way that I thought, that I mentioned the other one because it's interesting, not one that I'd be rushing out to get a full bottle of or wear for myself. This one is kind of interesting as well. So Sweat, Tears, Paradise. Let's spray it, and then I'll tell you why I found it interesting. I do like grapefruit, says Yvette, but it often goes oniony on my skin. Yeah, what does vetiver do on your skin? Because there's a strong connection between vetiver and grapefruit. Alex says, there are very humorous and witty perfumes out there, for example, by Etat d'Orange, artistic and interesting, but this Discotheque just sounds dumb and not very glamorous. Yeah, well, they haven't convinced me that they're particularly witty. Anyway, Sweat, Tears, Paradise. Yeah. This is a kind of strange take on a lily, because it's kind of strangely, weirdly musky, incensey lily, and it does smell quite synthetic. So we're not in that kind of hyper-real territory of Lys Méditerranée by Edouard Flechier for Frederick Malle. But I think just the very fact that there is something like a kind of sci-fi lily about it is what I found interesting. I found it quite intriguing smelling this one. It here, the cheapness seems like it's part of the point somehow. They say, a rave on the beach, zephyrs of an untamed sea, cerulean waters, let's watch Merrill. Mysterious beasts, flaming absinthe, onyx rock cliffs, shots of lightning in a stark black sky, salted air and ocean mist, the rhythm of waves crashing to the downbeat, an otherworldly place. Okay, I mean, that's kind of pushing it a bit. But that ozonic, musky lily thing, which is almost medicinal, is odd enough, is strange enough to be interesting. And the pre-sprayed Sweat, Tears, Paradise. Offenlich says, looking at the note pyramid of this one, sounds like it does want to go through the 3 stages of the name from an olfactive standpoint. Yeah, maybe Sweat, Tears, Paradise. Yeah, and they've kind of done that, because they've got the ozone, they've got the salt, they've got the florals. With the, yeah. So that's an interesting one. But anyway, pre-sprayed. Yeah, this would be an interesting one to take out for a test drive, because it's kind of musky synthetic floral now. But Comme des Garçons, I think, would have done this, but they would have really gone all out with the syntheticness of it, and they may have tagged it onto a more fascinating story. And then the last one is Dark Imagination by Elodie Durand, whose name comes up when we talk about the perfumes from Fern. And in a way, I guess this has kind of got Persolaise's name written on it. Oh no, that's the pre-sprayed one. Let's do not the second one. But I do find something interesting about it, because this is trying to be their Arabian one. So this is the kind of plummy, incensey rose. But actually, even spraying it now, I do find something attractive about it. Again, because it seems to go to my frame of reference for this sort of thing is the Sharjah Souk circa 1985, where incense sticks were being burnt all over the place. Really quite cheap incense sticks, and they used to be very cheaply put together, but still actually quite attractive rose incense sticks or jasmine incense sticks. This one to me is the rose. It's a kind of plummy, clovey sort of rose. But I kind of like it. I like the rawness of it. I kind of like the rough-edged quality of it. What do they say about it? Where's Dark Imagination? I guess it's going to be all, this is terribly seductive. There you go, seductive, yes. So, it's such a cliche now. A seduction like quicksand. Oh dear. A desert filled with roses, a blooming kaleidoscope, air thick with heat, one pulsing beat, soft leather and sweat, sweet patchouli haze, skin like fire, a taste of black plum, a labyrinth of mind games, maybe love, maybe madness. Okay. I mean, the text is trying really, really hard as well, isn't it? Is there anything boozy about it, says Offenlicht? I mean, maybe the plumminess, but it ain't half bad. It actually ain't half. I would wear this. And again, like I think I said in a previous video, if somebody walked past me wearing this, I would want to know what it is. I'd be curious enough to know what it is. What's the pre-sprayed blotter doing for Dark Imagination? Pretty naff name though, isn't it? I mean, I think it's a naff name. Tom Ford, take a note on these names. Yeah, I know, you're not kidding, X Daily. Anyway, pre-sprayed. Okay, so it's a none too subtle, but still fairly attractive and glorifying in its syntheticness incensey rose. I would definitely like a room to smell of this. Like if somebody actually did turn this into an incense stick that you could buy now, I would definitely want a room to smell of this. But there we are. So I don't know what the 2025 releases were. I think their marketing, the brand's marketing is kind of going into overdrive, at least in the UK. So I expect we're going to be seeing a lot more of them. Those of you who spend any time on TikTok and social media will probably be seeing more of them. But it's I was about to give those two numbers. I'm going to say it's a kind of, if I say that 3 out of 7 are interesting, then I guess that's fairly okay odds, isn't it? So you may want to check them out, but it isn't a ringing endorsement from me. Okay. Thank you very much for watching all of the videos. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below, as well as a link to my Substack. Please, please, please do give the video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Leave a comment, ask a question anytime, and stay tuned to social media for info about new videos coming your way. But until then, thanks for everything. Be good, and I will see you soon. Bye now.